Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state, and one does not have to look very far to see why we are a failed state. Just listen to this.
Tese zvachabangu izvezvi haisi nyaya yekuti tingangosekerera otoramwa kuti aiwa ndakusiya regai vaite zvavari kuita. Nguva iri kufamba vana vedu vachisafa, tichapedzera tachembera tofa vana vedu vachisara vari munhamo. Mirai semurume mugadzirise mhuri yenyu iri kutambura, isusu ndo vachamisa ndimi mava hope yedu yekupedzisira.
Play it again.
Tese zvachabangu izvi nyaya yekuti tingangosekerera otoramwa kuti aiwa ndakusiya regai vaite zvavari kuita. Nguva iri kufamba vana vedu vachisafa, tichapedzera tachembera tofa vana vedu vachisara vari munhamo. Mirai semurume mugadzirise mhuri yenyu iri kutambura, isusu ndo vachamisa ndimi mava hope yedu yekupedzisira.
Shocking. We have gone through this for so many. We are now talking of MDC have been on the political platform for 26 years and counting. Man is supposed to be a creature of reason. It is hard to see how somebody ostensibly articulate and therefore then one would say there's no excuse why they fail to understand. Has failed to understand that MDC leaders were elected to implement the democratic changes to end this Zanu PF dictatorship. This has been explained so many times. They've been saying slogans, Chinja, Chinja. The party's name is MDC, Movement for Democratic Change. Why is it not okay to you? What democratic change are we talking about? MDC have been on the political stage for the last 26 years and counting. Their primary purpose was to implement democratic changes to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections, among other things. Zanu PF continues to rig the elections. Surely, you must have heard people saying or asking, why is it that MDC failed to stop these guys rigging elections? And the answer has been there. Mugabe, during the GNU, bribed MDC leaders with the trappings of high office, and they forgot about the reforms. That is the honest truth. Stories have been coming out in the last few weeks of how MDC leaders got farms and other benefits, bribes, so that they don't implement reforms. Chamisa lied to the people, to the nation, when he said he has plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes. When he said Zanu PF was not going to rig the elections, he even invoked the name of God. Hashtag God is in it. And yet, it is clear that Zanu PF is in power because they rigged the elections. So why is it that that seems to be a problem? you still fail to see that reality. Chamisa lied when he said he had plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes. Zanu PF will not rig the elections, the 2023 elections. You know, I know, everyone knows that Zanu PF rigged those elections. And this was not the first time Chamisa had lied to the people, conning them to participate in flawed elections only to give Zanu PF legitimacy. Why is that so difficult to understand? That is a simple statement. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to accept that, yes, Chamisa lied here. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to accept that the consequences of those lies was to give Zanu PF political legitimacy. So why would you still, at the end of the day, turn around to the same person who sold out on reforms, who has been lying to you to con you to participate in flawed elections, to perpetuate the dictatorship, and you still turn around and say, "Yeah, our only hope"? In a recent interview, David Coltart complained of Zimbabweans idolizing leaders. He was right. Here is an individual, a typical example of an individual who would not accept that Chamisa sold out, who would not accept that Chamisa lied to them to con them to participate in flawed elections, because of their personality cult mentality. They accept Chamisa as a demigod who can do no wrong. So even if you produce the evidence that he is corrupt, he is incompetent, he is a liar, he is a conman, it's all filtered out. He still emerges as our only hope. Well, the truth of the matter is, a nation that refuses to think is doomed. One of the things that the ancient Greeks, who gave mankind democracy, said very clearly is that the electorate should be educated, knowledgeable, objective, and diligent. I think when you look at somebody who idolizes an incompetent, corrupt, a liar, and a conman, you can honestly say the individual has none of those qualities. And as long as we have people like that, we cannot expect to have a functional and healthy democratic government, because those people will always end up electing the buffoons like Mnangagwa and the sellouts like Chamisa. Zimbabwe is not a failed state by accident. We are a failed state because we have some of the most naive, gullible, and ignorant electorate on earth. After 26 years and counting, and you still fail to see Chamisa for who he is, a mere mortal who is corrupt, incompetent, a liar, and a conman. And you still consider that person your only hope. Well, what can I say?